Welcome back, everybody, to the Statistically Speaking podcast, UteNation podcast. I'm Ivan, Ute fan Ivan, as I'm known on Twitter. Today, I'm joined by my three friends, Matt, Joe, and Dustin. We're here to discuss, in a gentlemanly manner, the upcoming matchup between the University of Utah and the Cal Poly Mustangs in Salt Lake City, 4 p.m. on a Saturday. I'm thinking probably a top 25 matchup here, guys.
That's why the Utes get prime time for this one.
Right, 4 p.m.
No prime time to take on UCLA in the Rose Bowl. You have to stay up past midnight on the East Coast for that. But
Exactly.
The Cal Poly Mustangs, that is appointment viewing.
You talk about Power 4 last week, this week, it's something else entirely.
So, I'd like to say that this is one of those teams that you'd say, okay, Utah still better be focused because you don't want this team to sneak up on them. This team, they're the in the preseason polls for the Big Sky Conference, they were ranked by the coaches and the media at 11th out of 12. But they had a good game. Their first game, they beat
San Diego. Yeah, shredded them, 41-17. Yeah, Matt.
So, and they've got a dual threat quarterback of their own, Ty Diffenbach, I think is how you say it. And
German classes paid off.
And hey, and FCS teams are a little different this time because of the transfer portal. Diffenbach, if that's how you say it, he came from Pitt, an original Pitt recruit, and their running back came from Temple. So they've got a few guys that have some experience.
Starting linebacker came from Utah.
Yeah. Actually.
Ethan Calvert is playing for Cal Poly now. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Good for him.
So
that's going to be crazy for him coming back into Rice Eccles.
Can you imagine?
Oh, that's going to be a crazy feeling. So
yeah, I'll throw out my prediction real quick just to get this, done and get it rolling. I think it's going to be a really close game, actually. I think Utah is going to be kind of feeling that, I don't know, the euphoria of the first victory and just think they can walk right through it. So I'm going to go Utah 67, Cal Poly 0. I don't think Cal Poly is even going to score. Even if Utah plays their second string, I think that lowly of Cal Poly. I'm sorry for the Poly fans that might hear that.
My advanced metrics, when I do my score predictions, the Vegas line is a big part of it because they're really good at what they do. There is no Vegas line for this game. And when people ask me for betting advice, my betting advice is don't bet, but don't bet on these games. The lines, when you've got like a 35 or a 40-point line, it all just comes down to what did the winning team have for lunch that day, and did somebody break up with their girlfriend? Like, it's just not something that you can predict. But we do have some Vegas statistics. I just want to go over them a little bit. So FPI, you're looking at advanced metrics. Utah looks to be about 47-ish points better than Cal Poly. And there is an over-under from Vegas of 51.5, which would predict a final score of 49-2. So there's a 47 point victory there. Comes to 49-2. Because we're predicting a safety for Cal Poly. So I don't think, but when you do what I do, the points they add up one by one. It's a very strange universe. It looks nothing like football. People sometimes say to me, they say, "Well, Jody, you must really love football to do this." And I said, "Well, I love math. I like football." So it's just a totally different game going in my head. But there is no reason why Cal Poly should score, except that eventually Utah is probably going to stop paying attention. This is not an important game to them. No one cares if this is a Mountain West days where Utah has to put on the throat lesser teams in order to impress everybody. Utah wins their conference. Utah gets an opportunity to get everything they could possibly want, right? So they don't need to worry about this game at all. So I do think that we'll see some substitutions and lack of attention and things like that. So I'm probably going to pick a score I'll say 49-3. I think Utah will have a bad drive. Cal Poly will have a good punt return and kick a field goal at some point in like the third quarter. Yeah, I'll go 49-3.
I think I agree with all of that, Joe. The score is really entirely up to Kyle. Kyle, if he decides to leave the starters in late into the third, and I will say at the UCLA game, Dampier played one more series than I expected him to. I expected the backups in that second to last series, and they didn't come in until the very last one. So Kyle may be in a position where he's like, look, these guys still need to figure out how they're playing together, and he may keep the starters on the field a little longer. The defensive second team came in with 3 series to go. So I suspect we'll get a late score. They'll give up a late touchdown. I'll say touchdown. I think they'll get 7, but I agree with you. Utah probably puts up 50. So 49-7, 52-7, something like that.
So that was going to be my that was going to be my actually guess as well. So I think that we're going to see, for the Utes, you'll see. I think you're going to see Ficklin come in at quarterback because he came in later in the game against UCLA, which actually surprised me. I was expecting Isaac, just given the depth chart and who was named at QB2. But I think you'll see Ficklin. I think you'll see substitutions. And like you said on defense, I do also think I know Utah. I've seen touchdowns scored on Utah with their starters in against teams who had no business scoring on Utah. So I would give Cal Poly a touchdown here.
This is a former Washington State head coach, which has historically been a team that Utah has let score touchdowns when they had no business doing so.
Yep. No, exactly. I think
I don't talk about Washington State at all, ever. Oh, my worst memories of that football.
Understandable.
I think a score estimate guess for me would be 58-7, something like that. So
I like that higher amount.
Elegant, as a gentlemanly beating.
Well, they have a completely rebuilt offensive line. They only have 1 returning starter, and they gave up 2 sacks to San Diego. And I look at that, and I think even if you have the backups in, for Utah, probably going to get a lot of sacks in this game. And so I kind of look at that. And I want to actually talk back to the quarterback thing, because I've had about 3 or 4 people direct message me on Twitter already just saying, hey, do you think Bird's actually second? And it was just coach speak to put Wilson at second. And I think I still think if let's say Dampier got hurt, I still think Wilson would be the guy that would go in. This was just a great opportunity to let Bird Ficklin get in there and get some game experience. Wilson has plenty of that because of last season. So in this situation, if they pull Dampier at halftime, then I could see Wilson taking the third quarter, Ficklin taking the fourth quarter. But really, they need to get Ficklin that experience because you want to have 2 guys that can go out there and play if anything happens.
One thing I really want to see, I agree with you, by the way, Matt. I want to see the receivers for Utah get open. I want to see them. Merriweather had the 1 catch in the game that was a deep pass, and that was good. He also drew a really good PI. But there were moments in that game where, for the Utes, Dampier was sitting in the pocket for 8 seconds, and he's looking downfield, and there's nothing, right? So I think I want to see the receivers for Utah actually contribute heavily to this game. This is a good time to do it, not just for stats, but to get comfortable. Like, get comfortable on the field, get comfortable with each other. Just an opportunity to play against a defense that isn't their own in practice, if that makes sense at all. So
the Utes need to add that dimension.
Particularly the receivers who are listed in the depth chart and roster as receivers.
Right.
Snowden played great.
Right. Snowden was
great. But he can't. They did a good job of limiting his snaps. He played 45 snaps, about 20 on offense, 20 on defense.
Yeah.
But he can't be the only offensive receiving weapon. That can't continue for the entire season because Utah's going to need him to play nickelback. And eventually they're going to need him to play a full game at nickelback when Utah's playing somebody who passes the ball a lot, like Texas Tech, who Utah's going to see in Salt Lake. And that's going to be a huge game. He's not going to be available to play 25 snaps on offense. And so I'd like to really see the Utah wide receivers who are listed at wide receiver get open, get comfortable, get on the same page as their quarterback, and make some plays, particularly against what should be a very overmatched FCS team. They're not a good – they looked good last week against San Diego, but they're not a good FCS team. This isn't, they're not going to be competing for an FCS national championship. And it's an FCS team anyway. So it would be a good chance for the wide receivers to start to feel like they know what they're doing and they're able to get some confidence.
I don't see Cal Poly's defense playing much press coverage or man coverage this game. I think a lot of it's going to be zone. So
they'll just drop into cover packages.
Exactly. Basically a prevent defense.
And there's no reason why the Utes player should not be able to just blow the top off the defense. That's something historically they have essentially never been able to do. Really, not in my memory have I ever felt like that was something that was really an arrow in their quiver. Even when the offenses were really good, and even when we've seen wide receivers who would go on to have successful enough NFL careers to suggest that they could have been real playmakers, it's just never happened. And I would love to see it if I could wave a magic wand and add one thing to the Utes, it would be that kind of playmaking. So I'm not sort of holding out a ton of hope, but if we're going to see it, we'll see it this weekend against this kind of team.
For sure. All right, guys. Well, I think anybody else have anything they want to say?
I just want to, since this is statistically speaking, I want to add a quick stat. And that is that the receivers had 4 catches for 58 yards in this game. And there's probably not many games in which a team wins by 33 points where your receivers only contribute that much, unless you're, one of the military schools. So I think you hit that on the head, Ivan. They have got to add that dimension. They've got to get that fixed because it won't be sustainable. It makes it too easy for defenses to clog up the middle of the field, and that could come to bite them later on in the season.
Exactly. Okay. Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching. That's our coverage. It's what we think is going to happen on Saturday. Let us know in the comments what you think is going to happen. I'd be interested to see if anybody thinks Cal Poly pulls this off, honestly. But make sure you like and subscribe. And again, thank you so much for watching Statistically Speaking, a UteNation podcast. We'll see you later.